If you're driving, please remember to use your car's Bluetooth speaker while listening to the AM Drive. Sports talk is not worth your safety or the safety of others.
Grab your popcorn and sit back.
Jump the gun. Oh, no, give me more than that. Okay, go this way. That was dumb. We are.
How could I tell you when nobody wants to? Ill-fated words I will choke.
Happy Action Monday here on the AM Drive. It is October the 17th, 2022. We are here on our Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook pages for Semi Action. I am Michael Carvelis. What's up, Thumbs Up?
Good morning, man. I tell you what, the Coach of the Year tree is starting to shake a lot this week. Some of the best coaches are really coming out, and some of the not so good ones are getting glaring responses from the public.
Who are your coaches? Like, I know we've talked about like a hot seat last week. I kind of think that the Buccaneers coach, who is it? Todd Bowles is once again proving he's not that great at what he does.
Sure, they have quite a bit of talent. They're still, probably a top 3 team in the NFC. But I mean, the clear coaches of the year are all in the NFC East, right? You got, Brian Daboll over at the Giants. You got Nick Sirianni with the Eagles, and you have Robert Saleh over with the Jets. All 3 of those teams are crazy. What if I told you a month ago that, and I didn't tell you this, but what if I did tell you the Giants would be 9-1, not 5-1, 9-1?
Against the spread, or
no, straight up. Have you looked at their upcoming schedule?
I have not, but I would not. I would be very happy if Daniel Jones was 9-1. Just let me let you know now.
I know you would. So the Giants are 5-1. They play Houston, Seattle, Jacksonville, and Detroit the next 4 matches.
And Houston just dumped, like literally 30 minutes ago. They dumped Jack Easterby, the Almighty Savior himself.
Yeah, I don't know what he was saving.
Not anything special. Maybe saving the L. I don't know. That was news that just broke that he's finally done with them, and that's just bad. But yeah, no, I agree. 9-1 is very possible.
Yeah, 9-1. They could be 9-1. I mean, they've been the only game they lost. They were favored in.
And you know what's sad though? I feel like I would give the edge to Nick Sirianni because the Eagles have looked better, like they've been more dominating. But in terms of overachieving, which I think a coach of the year should get, it would be Brian Daboll, in my opinion, but it would be Nick Sirianni by default.
I mean, the Eagles were a playoff team last year. And
that's my point. Like, people give the coach of the year to guys that have playoff teams last year.
Right, yeah. And Nick Sirianni is doing a great job, but they were a playoff team last year. They won, 10 games last year. So their improvement's not going to be much. But Brian Daboll, the Giants were expected to win 4 games. They exceed their win total in week 6.
I called it.
Yeah.
We are presented by MikeandAaronDrive.com. It's our sponsors, shop, socials, and YouTube. Visit our website today. If you click the Our Shop tab, you can get free shipping by entering the code UNDEFEATED in all caps in favor of the Eagles. I was gonna do like Hurts. I was gonna do Fly Eagles Fly, but there wasn't enough characters. But I think Undefeated works pretty well. I was also going to do Dallas Sucks, but I think this one works.
Undefeated also works if you're talking about Atlanta against the spread. They have covered every game.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And they took it to the 49ers, and that was the only AM Drive 5 pick I missed.
That's a
I
good one.
had him dead to rights, but Arthur Smith doing a great job.
Jimmy G doing what Jimmy G does.
Throw picks in crucial moments. Agreed. Speaking of that Sunday Night Football game, the Eagles did beat the Cowboys 26-17. And all of a sudden, I love how the Cowboys fans on Twitter this morning are, see, there is no quarterback controversy. You guys literally were part of this, pal, saying, I guess we don't need Dak. Like, this fan base is so sickening. They wait until the game where Cooper Rush has 3 interceptions against a pretty good defense, I'd say. But now all of a sudden, we need Dak back. No, you guys, I think, let's say weeks from now, Dak throws 2 picks and the Cowboys lose to the Eagles. Is there a quarterback controversy then? Got to keep the same narrative, man.
It's funny. As they've asked Cooper Rush to do more, he's looked worse, and their defense has also looked worse, right? When the defense knew they had to win the game by themselves, they were completely smothering. But as Rush has gotten a little bit better week after week, the defense has been like, well, we can play not as great, it almost seems. And then last night, of course, it all comes together with Rush has a bad game and the defense has a bad game, and then you lose by 2 scores. So
I'll tell you what I'm shocked about. I've said it for a good 5 weeks, and it came crashing down on me. I thought the Cowboys had it up there with a very amazing, like borderline all-time defense if they could keep this going. Turns out they were just playing bad offenses, which I didn't want to say, but it felt like they played the Buccaneers, and you see how they're looking. They played the Giants, and now they play. Nick Sirianni has been a brilliant mastermind. Like Jalen Hurts is taking a huge leap with this guy the last 2 seasons, and we got to give Nick Sirianni and the Eagles offense credit.
Oh, absolutely. And look, I mean, I said this last night in our group text that they have the best offensive line probably in football, right? They improved their wide receiver core. They have a shutdown corner and a good defense. They have all the pieces to be a real contender here. Jalen Hurts doesn't even have to do a lot, and he's playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
With that being said, you're absolutely right. I mean, the Cowboys defense faced the Rams, who can't block anybody. Yeah, they face the Giants, who can't block anybody. They face Tampa, who can't block anybody. Finally, they face a team who has a decent offensive line, and granted, probably the best offensive line. You saw their pass rush didn't get home. They couldn't cause havoc and chaos in the back. I mean, that's what good offensive lines can do for you. And so, come playoff time, I don't think the Cowboys will their defense won't nearly be as smothering as we've seen in some games if they're playing teams that have pass blocking ability like this.
Yeah, Rams beat the Panthers, but I say it again, that still was not impressive to me. I know it's the new coach kind of deal, but I'm like, dude, the Rams are another one that they just don't look that great right now. And they drank their own Kool-Aid, and it might have had a little bit of whiskey in it, it looks like.
Well, I came on last year and we talked about the Rams. They went all in last year. They bought all those guys. They ruined their future. They got rid of all their draft picks. They got rid of all their ability to win down the road to win one championship, and they did that. They
won, yeah. Looks like
they were never intended to be a dynasty. This is a team that's going to fall apart year after year. They don't have any way to replace anyone. And if you look at like the Jets, did the opposite, right? The Jets invested all of their draft capital into young players and good talent evaluators, and you could see like they're up and coming, and the trend lines are obvious here. The Rams they're not a repeat type of team. They're not a team that you're gonna see in the playoffs 3 years from now. That they're gonna get older and worse each year.
Another team that we'll get to is the Bills in the next segment as well, who's like doing the all in, and I think adding Von Miller was huge. But like I said, we'll get to that. Final thoughts on Eagles and Cowboys. It's time for Dak to come back, no doubt, because I think his injury is up anyways. But if there's a if there's a silver and navy blue lining for the Cowboys, it's got to be the fact Ezekiel Elliott had another good game, 81 yards and a touchdown. And for my fantasy, I'm loving it because I was trying to trade this guy for the last 2 weeks. But it's got to be heartwarming to know y'all were in this game. Like, it wasn't like it was blowout city and your quarterback threw 3 picks. I mean, Dak does not really throw picks. So Cowboys have a little chance here, I believe, to beat this team later on in the year.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this, man. If you look at their schedules, the Cowboys are playing for a wild card. They have, I would say, almost no chance now of winning that division. And being 2 games back of the Eagles and being a game back of the Giants, and the Giants have a really easy schedule. It's going to be really hard for the Cowboys to jump both of them and win the division. So you're talking about a wild card team at this point, which isn't to say you can't win with a wild card team, but it's going to be hard to reach their heights in their current situation, even though they start off the season 4-2 without their best player, without their quarterback. I mean, so good job by Mike McCarthy and the coaching staff to keep them in the playoff relevancy, but I don't think they win this division.
I think Mike McCarthy showed something he actually showed he's an inspiration to this team. Like I was calling for his head last year, but now it's like it seemed he 4-2 is a really good record with what they had to deal with the first 6 weeks.
Absolutely, it is. And I'm not a Mike McCarthy liker. I think he's a terrible coach in general.
Right.
I think he's still that old school, doesn't follow the math, doesn't trust the analytics, all that good stuff. And He makes lots of game management decisions, but he's been okay this year. I haven't had any major complaints from him about him. But yeah, they're a wild card team to me at best. And if they can get Dak right and play well, this team can win 10 games. 10-7 will be fine. They'll be fighting for that wild card spot, and but they won't be sniffing the division.
Right. Let's get to one more game here in the first segment. It's the Giants and the Ravens. And I know I put the Baltimore blows another 10-point lead because that obviously was a thing. But I wouldn't be so mad if I'm a Ravens fan because 3-3, I know it's horrible because let's be real, they should be 6-0. They should be, I mean, Lamar Jackson, I know people talk about the penalties and some things, but here's like Marcus Peters had a brutal defensive pass interference. They had an illegal formation on like a third down, which is awful for a coach. But if Lamar throws that ball away instead of like after the bad snap, instead of trying to make something happen, I think Ravens might still win this game by 3 points. But is this more so about the Giants' comeback because they've done it all year, or is it about the Ravens not closing the deal again?
Well, the Ravens have these are two teams that are colliding at different parts in their story, right? So the Ravens can't put teams away, and the Giants like to stick around. And so if you let the Giants stick around, they tend to wear you out towards the end of the game, get one or two big plays, and then get themselves in position to win. If you're the Ravens, you need to blow teams out because if you let them stick around, they find ways to get that one pass interference call or that one turnover or hit that one long pass that they haven't been hitting all game. And so you could almost see these two things colliding when the Giants scored that first touchdown to cut it to 3, right? Danny Dimes throws a beautiful pass on third down, gets him in range. They get the touchdown to Bellinger, and all of a sudden you're like, well, they can get a stop. And like, you could see the wheels turning on this. Lamar makes a bonehead play and throws the pick. I don't know that they win the game even if he throws it away. The Giants just have a way down a score at the end of games to, will themselves forward. It's to Brian Daboll's credit, man. They're playing so good. Even that Saquon Barkley play at the end of the game,
where he slid, it's really good coaching.
I would love to say that was Saquon doing that, but Saquon said, Daboll pulled us aside and discussed the situation with us, right? We just need a first down. We don't need points, right? Let's get the first down. Let's get down on a knee. Let's kneel this game out. And let's go home. I mean, that's coaching. Like that's taking every situation into account and discussing with your players, telling them what to do and having them do it right. My hat's off to him, man. I'm a huge fan of Daboll and everything he's done so far.
It's a humbling experience for a player knowing how important it is to get your stats up because it's more money for you. Like it's more marketing. It looks better career-wise. And for you to believe in a coach that much says a boatload about the coach. Like guys have pride. And some of them, I mean, of course you want to win, but at the same time, no, bump that, I'm getting a touchdown. He didn't have to do it, but he believes in what Daboll's preaching. And I guess winning helps. But it's really good coaching.
It is, and you're absolutely right. Winning breeds more winning, right? Winning breeds more success for everyone. And
that's true.
If you ask a lot of these guys why they play football, it's to win a championship. If you're 5-1, you have a shot at competing for a championship. Now, I don't think anybody's taking the Giants super seriously, but
still,
they could be 9-1. I'm not kidding. They have 4 games. They should be favored in all 4 of them, and they're playing so well that I can see them being 9-1, which is insane. If you told me that at the beginning of the season, I would have laughed. I was laughing when they were 4-1, saying they might not win another game.
Right, and there's 3 things I want to finish off with here, and then we'll take a break. That are contributing to Giants' success. Besides, I mean, the defense has been good. I feel like the defense is playing together. They don't have any big names. Like Julian Love is good, but they don't have like any big names who are swarming to the ball. I think Daniel Jones' lack of turnovers is huge. Saquon's health is gigantic, and of course Brian Daboll. I mean, this team has no wide receivers either.
Nothing. You couldn't name 2 of them. It's terrible. They have some terrible people on their cap, or they have Kenny Galladay they're paying a ton of money to,
and that's because of the previous regime. So they're overtaking with this group.
Yeah, as they start getting some talent in there, I mean, they're going to be a force going forward. And you know me, I'm not completely sold on Danny Dimes, but even if they keep him and he turns out to be a middling starter, if they can get some talent around him, you can still win games. And Kevin Thibodeau seems to be doing well.
He was great.
He played great yesterday. Their defense just kind of plays together. They're a bend that don't break.
They swarmed the reason I said the Giants were going to win, I thought like the Giants swarmed the ball, and that's huge against a team that likes to break away and run.
Absolutely. And let's be honest too. I mean, the Ravens are an immensely talented team, but they also don't have any wide receivers. And Lamar's being asked to do this on his own. And he has a hard time when it's only throw and he can't run.
Right.
He has a hard time moving teams down the field. I mean, that's not his game. And so getting them down to score late in games where they're, at timeouts, they need to get first downs, can be tough on Lamar. And, you saw he didn't make a very good decision again.
And Duvernay had a big drop too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, their lack of talent on the tight end and outside of tight end is very alarming for the Ravens, where I don't think they're going to compete where, they should be able to compete, but they're not going to compete for a deep playoff run with this team.
Fair enough. We do have to leave it there, unfortunately, due to time constraints. When we come back, Sammy likes the Jets. Also, the Bills won a game that was kind of anticlimactic, but we'll talk about that. And also, we'll talk Monday Night Football best bet. You don't want to go anywhere. It's the AM Drive. We'll be right back. The AM Drive with Mike and Aaron might be the best morning show ever. If you love the show, shop the merchandise for $26 hoodies, $16 shirts, even $13 mugs. High quality swag for cheap because Mike and Aaron love the fans. The best morning show, the lowest price merch at amdrive.online.
This is Popple, the next generation business card. With just a tap, your Popple instantly shares your digital business card to both iPhone and Android devices. The best part? The other person doesn't need an app or a Popple to receive your info. To pop your info, tap your Popple to the top of an iPhone, the center of an Android, or just scan your in-app QR code. And just like that, all your info is saved to their phone. More connections, more leads, more sales. That's Popple. Download our free app and get your Popple today.
Aren't you the Vice Golf guy?
Yeah. You want an autograph?
Yeah. Actually, I was just wondering if the balls are any good.
The balls are amazing. You look like a Pro Plus guy.
I thought you'd never ask. It's actually better than my old ball.
And it's half the price.
Top performing golf ball, half the price. It's almost stealing.
Quit searching the globe and get your high-performing golf balls at vicegolf.com.
Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and players you love. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
And welcome back to another Action Monday, or should I say Colts Victory Monday once again. Great win over the Jaguars, by the way. But we are presented by MikeandAaronDrive.com. If you want the best merchandise from your favorite teams, players, and leagues, you've got to go to that website and do what, Sammy?
Click the F.
Yes! You got to
Right
click
here.
this and then click that. That's right.
Yeah, click
You
this
can
too.
shop- Yes. Like do what Aaron does. This. He's been watching the show. Good job, Sammy. Got to shop MLB postseason merchandise. Also, NHL season coming up. And dare I say NBA, I've been getting a few dynasty and even season leagues in the NBA for fantasy. It's been great. But go to MikeandAaron.com, click the F, the Fanatics logo, everything's at your disposal right there. And code today is GHOST in all capital letters for 65% off site-wide again. Love it. All right. Sammy is a hometown Jets fan living, obviously, you used to live in New York, right?
I am from New York. They don't even play in New York. They play in New Jersey.
You have to be, East Rutherford. All right, Jets beat the Packers 27-10. Aaron mentioned the jet lag, pun intended. But, Sammy, you can't blame us on that. I think the Packers just got beat.
The Robert Saleh defense was insane. I mean, I watched a lot of that game. I had people over my house, everybody kind of rooting
Wow.
for the Jets. A lot of anti-Packer fans, and look, Sauce Gardner is for real. The Robert Saleh defensive scheme is for real. He brought that defensive scheme to the Niners. Niners took it to the Super Bowl, right? This is a team with a lot of young talent. I said earlier in the year, this is a team that's probably a year away, but they're clicking on also. I mean, they were smothering in Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers, and they gave up nothing. Aaron Rodgers could not move the ball at all.
Yeah, that stat line. My buddy has Aaron Rodgers as a emergency quarterback because he doesn't really have a quarterback because Russell Wilson stinks. And he's like, man, Rodgers ain't doing nothing either.
No, the whole Sauce Gardner thing, man, was so cool. And at the end of the game, him putting on the cheese head and kind of getting the fans irate was pretty cool.
Whoa, that dude's got some stones.
Yeah, I want to say it was Lazard came and knocked it off his head, and he picked it back up and ran around the stadium with it. I mean, he's got swagger, and this is a guy who, if you throw it to his side of the field, he's going to knock it down, and he doesn't have a problem telling you that. So. Look, the Jets are not going to win their division. They're not better than Buffalo. I mean, they're 4-2. They're probably not even going to sniff a playoff spot, to be honest with you.
And when Tua comes back, Dolphins might be better. But go ahead.
But they exposed a fraud in Green Bay. Green Bay is not a good football team. They took them to town. This is not a team that's going to compete for anything either. So the Jets played well, and congrats to them. Robert Saleh doing a great job.
Well, besides that annual NFC North championship,
I mean, Minnesota's got a 2-game lead, and they've already beat him head-to-head. It's going to be tough for them to catch him. Although Minnesota does have a kind of a tough schedule, Green Bay has not impressed me at all. Not even a little bit.
It's almost like Rodgers. I want to add Brady to this mix, too, because I feel like Brady – I'm just gonna bring it up. Steelers beat the Buccaneers 20-18. I didn't want to, but here I am. Brady blamed the offensive line, and looking back at this replay, I'm like, I don't see it, Brady. I mean, he missed a lot of throws. I mean, there were some times where he was under pressure, but Fournette was running hard. Defense played good enough. They had Trubisky come back in the game. Hello, Mitch. But Brady and Rodgers are both just not doing it this year for me, man.
Yeah, I mean, Brady's got some off the field stuff that seems to be taking his mind off the game a bit, and it shows. I mean, he's had a pretty decent start to the season stat wise, but
that's all counting.
Yeah, it's all counting stats for sure. He hasn't had the big win. He hasn't brought them back. I mean, this was a spot where this is a spot ripe for the taking for a Tom Brady vintage, right? Where he tries to get the ball back. Has a last second drive and beats Pittsburgh, who's a middling defense. Not playing well. With their backup quarterback, but they couldn't get him off the field. They couldn't get the ball back. They couldn't give him time on the clock. And, to Brady's credit, I mean, he wants to win. He still has that passion, but I think his ire is directed in the wrong place.
And was it kind of frustrating? Like, if you're a Buccaneers player right now, like he's got a 7 rings, but bump that for 10 seconds here. If you're getting yelled at by this guy, I just hope, and I'm not saying he isn't, I just hope Brady is kicking himself for the same mistakes he's making. Because you can't. For him, moaning about the offensive lineman on national TV is just not good to me. You can't do that.
People who know Brady have said in the past that he is harder on himself than anyone, and so he takes it personally. He wants to win. Him getting fired up is just part of his shtick, right? It's just who he is. And I think if you're an offensive lineman, you kind of know that you're there to protect him both in the media and in the game, and so.
That's hard part being an old lineman. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to make them a scapegoat from time to time, as he will with his receivers and his coaching and everybody else. But I think Brady, behind closed doors, is probably the hardest on himself. He does take the game very seriously. He wants to win more than anybody I've ever seen in football, and it shows all the time. And so he does not like to lose. To be fair, they're 3-3, and
they could be
NFC
2-4.
is not. Right, the NFC is not good. They still can make a run. They have the talent. They have the right pieces in place,
and they're going to get healthy.
Yeah, where I think the Packers are on the other side of that, where I think they're a degrading team, where they're getting worse and worse. I think the Bucs can still get better.
Yeah, I keep saying the offensive line for the Bucs is going to have to gel eventually. Like, just because. Like the Colts are playing Quentin Nelson $1 million, or $1 billion. That doesn't even million doesn't even sound right anymore. They're paying them $1 billion, and their offensive line isn't doing anything, except for yesterday, obviously. Buccaneers have a bunch of guys But once they mesh, look at the Bengals. Once they mesh, it's going to look good.
Yeah, this is a team that can definitely go on a run in the second half of the season, a la what Cincinnati did last year, where all of a sudden they're playing in tough games and winning tough games. The Buccaneers, the NFC is not good. I keep saying, if you look at the NFC outside of the Eagles, there's really not a scary team in the whole NFC. I'm not saying that they can beat the Eagles, but if it's Tampa in Philly, come playoff time, you get Brady versus Hurts. I can easily see Brady winning that matchup. So I mean,
yeah,
regardless of record, regardless of home field advantage, I'm not counting the Bucs out yet. Other than that, I don't know if there's a team that beats the Eagles in the NFC.
If Julio comes back, it might be a big problem for teams. If Julio can get anything healthy, he's allergic to the end zone, but he's not allergic to everything like Pat wins after the 20-yard line. So,
I mean, Julio hasn't been healthy. Gage hasn't been healthy. Mike Evans missed the game. They lost their tight end, Cameron Brate. Their offensive line has been banged up. So this is a team on the offensive side of the ball that has struggles, but we're only 6 games in. There's still a long way to go.
Yep. Bills beat the Chiefs 24-20. Mahomes threw 2 brutal interceptions, kind of like the Lamar Jackson one. I think if Mahomes doesn't try to force it to Marquez Valdes-Scantling, I think that rookie doesn't get the interception in the end zone. I also feel like, Von Miller chased him, but on the same replay where he throws the pick, there's 2 guys one-on-one in the back that are running free. Like, I know somebody told me Mahomes trusted his arm too much. And I'll be honest, I know Chiefs wanted to win. This was huge for the Bills' psyche moving forward, if we can be real. Bills wanted this game so badly, but I think they beat them last year because Tony Romo kept saying they beat them last year and it didn't mean anything.
Yeah, but you know what? In order to create a rivalry, both sides have to win, and this is the first time I think Allen's beaten Mahomes, which now
last
makes
year regular season they beat them too.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
That's
But
all.
this starts making it more of a rivalry where these 2 teams are going to have these knockout punches to each other back and forth. But I mean, right now I think it's pretty clear that Buffalo is the better team all around.
All around, yes.
Yeah, I mean, when you include defense and special teams and even coaching a little bit, I mean, I feel like they were the better team in every facet of the game yesterday, and they went on the road and beat a tough team in their building. Is always hard to do. With that being said, the AFC goes through Buffalo now. So if Kansas City wants to reclaim that throne, they're going to have to go into Buffalo and beat them in the cold, in the elements with the weather, down.
Right now the Colts loss does not look good for KC.
Yeah, so. It's gonna be a Buffalo year. It looks like, at least in the AFC. We'll see what happens after that.
That's right. Another thing, I feel like the game was as good as much better as the Bills looked. If Mahomes doesn't throw 2 picks, I mean they're that much closer to losing. It's just insane to me how good these teams are. It's up to the quarterbacks, man, and these guys are just 1A and 1B for the next 10 years, and I love it.
For sure.
I feel like Lamar Jackson is like the Phillip Rivers of this generation. He's so good. But then you got these 2 in the way. It's insane.
Well, a lot of people, kind of harp on me that I'm so quarterback oriented when it comes to my criticisms and my discussions. But that's it, man. What you just said, it's about the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks control so much of the game. If you have one that's him, then you can compete. If you don't have him, then you can't. It's why I kind of give you crap about Daniel Jones, right? Like Daniel Jones is a fine player, but he's not him. He's not the guy who's going to lead you to the promised land. Same thing with Trubisky. Same thing with a lot of these guys. Same thing with Matt Ryan, right? These are not guys who are going to win you championships. And in this day and age, you need the guy who's going to lead you to championships. The NFL has been built on quarterbacks who win. And these 2 teams have the 2 best, and there's no question about it. Which one wins every year will determine who wins the AFC. It seems like and then don't discount Justin Herbert. I mean, he hasn't become him yet, but he's right there. Like he's knocking on the doorstep. He's saying, "What about me, guys? Give me a chance." Right. So
that's a good thing you mentioned that, because our final segment, we got to go with 30 seconds here. Pick'emores.com/podcast. Make money on free picks against the spread. Monday Night Football, Broncos, Chargers. I'm just going to give you a quick bet. I got under 45.5.
I don't know. I mean, how's Russell Wilson's shoulder, right? They gave him treatment for all of his ailments.
It kind of hurts a little bit when I suck.
I want to say I like Chargers here. I just don't trust the coaching staff of the Broncos. I've been hard on Hackett all year. I don't believe that Russ is hurt. I just think he's playing bad. And a lot of it, So I'm just to give me a quick second on this. I
Go ahead.
found a video of Kurt Warner breaking down all of the plays in Denver. I posted it on my Facebook feed,
Yes.
and I found it to be incredible. Like the detail that Kurt Warner put into looking at the different reads that Russell Wilson has to make and where he has to throw the ball, the placement of ball, and like what they're looking for, which player decides. It was fascinating to see the in scope look of what quarterbacks have to deal with in the moment, and in literally a second or two to make decisions. And according to watching that, man, it's apparent to me that Russell Wilson is just playing bad. He's just not playing well. And the coaching staff's not playing well. Your quarterback's not playing well. It's a real tough recipe to win. So I'm going to go with the Chargers here. I hope Russell Wilson and them can turn it around because I want that division to be good and tough. But
Right.
the Chargers win. They're tied for first in that division, and it sets up more great drama down the road. So I'm rooting for Chargers. I don't really have a pick other than that.
That's fair enough. Chargers money line. How about that? Follow us at AM Drive TV. Tomorrow's Top 5 Tuesday with just me, and I'll take a shaving cream pride of the face because the Bills won on Wednesday. Thanks so much, Sammy, and thanks very much, everybody. And please drive safe.